Hello, everybody. Today we're going to go ahead and start on our next lesson. Excuse me, and this next lesson is called Describe and Classify Triangles by Their Attributes. Let's go ahead and break that wording down a little bit, okay? The first thing, describe, that means we're going to go ahead and talk about just looking at the shape, looking at the triangle itself, and thinking about what is it that we see about it. Giving a description. We're going to classify. That means we're going to go ahead and give the triangle a name. We have our triangles. Remember, triangles are three-sided. 1, 2, 3. Three-angled. 1, 2, 3 polygons. By their attributes. Remember, attributes, ladies and gentlemen, remember, attributes, what we're talking about are the sides and the angles. The attributes are what makes a triangle or the polygon a polygon, or a triangle a triangle. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, are the sides and angles in a more detailed sense. So, to start out our lesson, let's start by opening up your math dictionary. Go ahead and open up that math dictionary. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. If you want to pause it, go ahead and pause it. Now that you have your math dictionary open, go ahead and go to the R's and put in the word right triangle. The words right triangle. Again, I'll go ahead and give you a few seconds. If you want to pause the video to do that, go ahead and pause it. A right triangle is simply a triangle with one right angle. Let me show you an example of what that looks like. I'm just going to bring my tools down here, get my triangle here. Let's take a look at this. The triangle that I just created. Just bring it up here. I need to look at the three angles, and if one of the angles is a right angle, then this is a right triangle. Well, let me go ahead to do that. I'm going to need a square. So there's my little square right there. So I'm going to go ahead and take the square and compare the angles. Now, if I put it up here, I want you to think to yourself, is this angle a right angle? Does this square fit inside that little angle? And of course, it does not. So let me move my square down here. Does that fit inside the angle? Does that fit inside there? And of course, you know it does not. I mean, look at all this extra space up here. So this does not fit at all. But if we go ahead and we put it in the last angle, what do you know? Hey, it fits. In fact, this is a right angle in there. And let me go ahead and take that square away. You're going to notice a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at, if you haven't already, if you look at triangles and you notice that in the center, in there, they have that little box right there, that means that that is a right angle in there, and that means that this triangle is a right triangle because it's a triangle with one right angle. So that's a right triangle, and that's something I really want to make sure we understand. So now, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our actual lesson today. For this lesson, if you don't have already, you're going to need your ruler and your pencil. Go ahead and take a few seconds and get your ruler and your pencil. Again, if you need to pause this to catch up, I will go ahead and pause it. I'll wait for a few seconds. All right, let's talk about what they're asking us to do right here. They're telling us to measure it. So let's start out. It tells us to measure the sides of each pair of triangles. Well, that's not so bad. Here's our first triangle. Here's our second triangle. We're going to measure the triangles below to the nearest quarter of an inch. Then record the measurements. I think it might be a good idea to practice or review our quarter inches. All right, here's my quarter inch ruler. And take a look here. Remember from the lessons in the past, when we are figuring out our quarter inches, we look at a couple things. First off, here are our regular inches. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I draw a line up to here, we know that's going to be 2 inches. That's pretty easy stuff right now. We can adjust that a little bit. This time, if I go ahead and put it, the blue one right here, we know those are ½ inches. So what I can do is I can make this 1/2. I go past the 1, I know this is 1 1/2. Go past my 2, 2 1/2. 3 1/2. 4 1/2. 5 1/2. Okay? So now, if I draw a line, if I start here at the very, very edge, and I go la da la da la right there, I know that this is going to be a 3½ inch line. Not too bad. But then, it gets even more and more detailed. We know that if I break this into 4 pieces, remember when I break this into 4 pieces, and I shade this first one, I know the fraction that I have is 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4. So this line right here, remember, is 1/4. Now I have 1, 2, 3. So this line right here is 3/4. Remember, this one is 1/4. This one is 3/4. 1/4. 3/4. 1/4. 3/4. 1/4. 3/4. 1/4. 3/4. All right? So now if I have a line, let me just go put the line down here, and I draw the line, and I stop it right there. I stop it underneath this 4th right there. So I know I've crossed the 2, so I have 2. There's my 4th, and 1/4 inch. And if I extend this line even further, and I stop it right here, well, now I have, again, it's past the 2, I have a 2 3/4 inch. Okay, pretty simple stuff. So now let's apply that to our triangle. So let's go ahead and take a look at triangle letter A. Let's take a look at triangle letter A. I'm going to give you a few seconds. I want you to go ahead and measure this first line segment with your ruler. I'll give you a few seconds on that. Go ahead and put in what you think this is. After you do this one, go ahead and try this one. Go ahead and figure out what that is, and then go ahead and try measuring this one. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and pause this right now and put those measurements in. When you're ready to go ahead and unpause it, and I will go ahead and put in the actual measurements. All right. You should have had 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. All of those are 1 inch. Let's go ahead and try triangle B. Again, I'm going to go ahead. I want you to figure out this side, and this side. I'm going to go ahead and wait for a second. Go ahead and pause it. And I want you to put in what you think the measurement is to the nearest inch. All right. You should have had 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. Okay? Let's continue. Move this down here. Go ahead. I want you to either do triangle C or triangle D. It's your choice. I'll let you either do triangle C or triangle D. Go ahead and pause this. When you come back, I'll put the measurements in for all of them. All right, here we go. You should have noticed for triangle C, we had 1 inch, 1 inch, 1½ inches. Triangle D, 1 inch, 2 inches, 2 1/4 inches. All right, so that right there, what we did is we looked at the sides. We took the attribute of the sides and we measured them. That is something that you are expected to do today. So now let's talk about it. It tells us to identify or find each triangle with what you discovered about the side lengths. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says no side lengths are the same. So out of these triangles, let me just go ahead and move this up just a little bit. Okay. In fact, I'll come back. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the screen just a bit. Just give me a second. All right, and I'm back. It tells us to identify each triangle with what you discovered about the side lengths. And the first one says no side lengths are the same. None of those side lengths are the same. So which of these triangles, A, B, C, or D, has none of the sides being the same? Go ahead and put your answer in for this one. Let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says all 3 side lengths are the same. All 3 side lengths are the same. So which of these, triangle A, B, C, or D, has all three side lengths being the same? Go ahead and put your answer in here. I'll come back and give you these answers when we're done with all 3 of them. And then number 3, it says exactly 2 side lengths are the same. Which of these has 2 of the side lengths being the same? Again, is it triangle A, B, C, or D having just 2 of them being the same? Well, number 1, none of them being the same, that would be triangle D. All 3 side lengths being the same, well, you could have had A, or you could have had triangle B. Either answer would be fine. And then number 3, 2 side lengths are the same, well, you had letter C, triangle C. All right, let's continue with our lesson. It says a triangle with one right angle is called a right triangle. We talked about it already. It tells us to find the right triangle in the photo on the right. So let me just move this out of the way and let's take a look at this on our right. Nice little beach picture, makes you kind of wish it was summer, which summer's almost here. But if you look really carefully, you can notice that this one is highlighted, and that is our right triangle. Again, notice right there, you could fit a nice little square inside of there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a right triangle. So now it tells us to compare the angles of each triangle below. Which triangle is a right triangle, and to circle it, okay? Well, just looking really carefully, there's only one triangle that actually has our little square in it, and that's triangle A. Triangle A is our right triangle. So which triangle did you circle? Well, we circled triangle A. And explain why you chose this angle. Well, let's think about it. Why did we choose this one? I'll give you a hint. Look at that right there. Can you make a sentence telling us why we chose that? Well, if you put down, you can fit a box in the angle, you'd be correct. So, of course, triangle A is a right triangle. Now, questions numbers 4 and 5 asks us to draw a conclusion, meaning to come up with an idea, come up with an answer. Refer to activities above for exercise 4 and 5. It says, so that means we're going to be using this information up here to go ahead and answer number 4 and number 5. It says, which triangle has an angle, I'll underline that. Which triangle has an angle greater than a right angle? Okay, so out of these triangles right here, which one is greater or bigger than a right angle? Okay, here's our right angle. Which one's bigger than that? All right, again, if we think to ourselves, if we use a square, again, if you have that square card, the card that I give you, you can use that. Now, looking at these right here, if I put my square in there, well, square's going to be bigger than that, so it can't be triangle A. Okay? Here's my square, too big. But then if I do a square like that, Again, if we look up here, you know that has all that extra space up there. So we know that which angle has all three angles that are less than a right angle. We know that that's triangle B. Okay, and how is a triangle a special kind of polygon? How is it a special kind of polygon? Well, we know that, think about how many angles and how many sides it has. We know that it has 3 sides and 3 angles. All right, so thank you so much for being a part of this, for keeping with this lesson. I appreciate that a lot. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and go back to the front side, make sure your name is on this, and go ahead and turn it into Mr. A. Then check out the top and to see what I want you to do on the board. Have a good day. Talk to you later.